A blessed Sunday to you, brothers and sisters. Welcome to Pathways of Hope Sunday Gospel Reflection on this sobering passage in Luke 21 5 to 19. My name is Aldem Salvania, and I just like to say for full disclosure that I do not like this passage very much. It's a bit too bitter for my taste. But I also don't like bitter ampalaya and slippery okra. But I eat them because they're good for me. And I also hate medical checkups. But I just had a series of tests last week because it's good to know the truth, even if it might hurt, so I can make the necessary changes to be healthier. On that note, the passage today I would call tough love, in the category of those things I would rather not experience. So I would rather not read this passage. But I know it's good for my life and for my soul. So are you ready for some tough love? Great. Let's get to the passage. The passage begins quite positively enough, with the disciples marveling at the imposingly majestic temple towering above them, partly hoping that Jesus would be as equally impressed. But Jesus lost no time to point out the sickening truth that the time will come when not one stone will be left on another. Everyone will be destroyed in the temple. Can you imagine? The disciples must have dropped their jaws and felt like their fire of excitement and awe was extinguished just like that. And maybe to salvage that dark moment and find something they could still predict or control, one of them asked, Teacher, when will these things happen? And what will be the sign that they're about to take place? In reply, Jesus did not fall for their desire to gain insider information, for his answer focused not on controlling external events, but on preparing their hearts. He said, Watch out that you are not deceived, for many will come in my name, claiming, I am he, and the time is near. Do not follow them. There are so many voices claiming to have the answer to the secret to living life fully. Among them, gurus abound on financial security, health lifestyle, advanced technology, even self help material, among others, promising a better life. Now, make no mistake, I find these human activities and pursuits to be useful and important, as was the temple as a physical reminder of worship, maybe even status at that time. But we need to know their limits. Let me illustrate. My dear mom passed away suddenly earlier this year. And prior to her passing, she was discussing with me some home improvement projects because she was a green thumb and had many beautiful ornamental plants. Then she requested me to help her choose a tablet so she can watch music videos on a screen bigger than her smartphone, and asked me to source a replacement for her smart TV remote. Now, fast forward a few months after we laid her to her final rest, we visited her cute home, which really just broke my heart to see that she's no longer there. But that home was just recently constructed, and I surveyed all the things she used to make, enjoy, acquire, plant, watch, none of which is of any use to her now. This must be the sentiment that Jesus wanted to impress upon his disciples. That whatever the material thing or earthly position or pleasure that they were enjoying at that time, he was reminding them that none of these will matter in due time. And he was just warming up because it gets worse. Then he talks about wars and uprising. Wait, what? We will go through wars? Don't you have enough troubles already? The good thing is that he assures us to not be frightened because this challenge is not a sprint, it will be a long distance run. Now, war is man made. But wait, he adds one more. Joining the catastrophe will be a combination of man made and natural calamities that will cause fear. But he reminds them again to watch the skies for great signs, all intended to prepare our hearts to face the tribulation and judgment. Hmm. But before all of this, he says, they will seize you and persecute you. They will hand you over to synagogues and put you in prison, and you will be brought before kings and governors. At that point, he reminds them again to testify and give witness to your faith in Jesus. And he calls his disciples to make a choice in our hearts to choose faith over worry, assured that Jesus himself will give us the words and wisdom that enemies will not be able to contradict. You know, I've experienced God's divine help many, many times where I am asked to run team building workshops for companies that have conflicting managers. In fact, I remember one early morning before the workshop, I would cry out to the Lord, confessing that I did not know how to help this group and ask the Spirit for the wisdom to say the right words that will help them. And you know what? Countless times, God never disappointed me because many reconciliations have happened during and after such workshops. So much so that whenever there are conflicting personalities in workshops, I would be the one called to handle it. But I have long made up my mind that God has always been the one to grant me the words and wisdom to help bring His peace in such conflicting situations. Now, this verse now is quite hard to swallow, where people's unbelief can cause them to commit violence against their own family members. But we have dealt with this in our work with family run businesses that have been fractured, one family member against another. Oh, so painful. Now, admittedly, what we do with corporate clients is provide indirect witnessing to God's truth and love because we are doing training and executive coaching, not direct preaching work. But we claim the same wisdom that comes from Christ to help our clients overcome their selfishness and egocentrism and lead others better with a servant heart that can only be inspired by the Spirit. And it is consoling to know that if we stand firm in doing God's work in helping leaders become better servants, then God will protect us all the way. Physically, we might get threatened or hurt like the martyrs, but if we stand firm, we will win fullness of life in the Lord and be victorious over violence, deception, and spiritual harm. You know, when my father and mother died, there was nothing I could do to stop their suffering and demise. But I entrusted them to the hope that awaits those who love the Lord. When all our strength and capacity is gone, God is our only hope for fullness of life. Pray with me, brothers and sisters. Lord, I know that you will not always spare us from physical harm and threats in this life, as many of the martyrs have suffered like you did to stand for God's truth. Grant us the grace and assurance that when it is our time to stand up for the gospel and suffer for it, we will completely trust in your wisdom and protection and continue to serve even those who are your enemies and learn to love them as you have done. Amen. So, brothers and sisters, if you have been blessed by this reflection, please share it with others and go with God. May He be the source of peace that surpasses all understanding for you. God bless you all. Bye bye.